What is up, everybody? It's Thursday, so you know what that means. Welcome to another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I am your humble host. I go by Davin Jackson, also known as DJax Alpha on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for joining tonight. It's been a crazy month, but I thank you guys for joining. If you guys don't know, InfoSec Unplugged is my show where I talk to several guests in the tech and cybersecurity community about their career journeys, what got them to where they are, their ups, their downs, their highs, their lows. We just talk and just keep it all the way real. So if you like what you see so far, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitch. I got to turn down my phone. And also like my previous videos as well as other content that I have on the YouTube channel. So before we get into it, let's thank some of the sponsors. So we're going to get this off of here. So first, our first sponsor is Udemy. Udemy is an online training platform that has over 100,000 courses where you can learn just about anything. You can learn cybersecurity, you can learn cake baking, you can learn basket weaving, you name it, they probably have a course for it there. Courses are always on sale and relatively affordable, so you can go check them out on udemy.com. You can also click the link below for some of my favorite courses based on hacking and penetration testing. Also, our show is sponsored by the We Hack Purple Academy. We Hack Purple, the We Hack Purple Academy is an online trading academy that's ran by Tanya Janka, also known as She Hacks Purple. She was a previous guest earlier in the month. The We Hack Purple Academy focuses on teaching you the ins and outs of application security in a fun and easy way. Tanya breaks down the foundations of AppSec in 3 courses that you can learn individually or you can get as a bundle program. And in addition to getting the bundles, you also get the book Alice and Bob Learn Application Security. Sorry. It's been, like I said, it's been a long day. It's been a long month. So you can contact them via email at info@at WeHackPurple or on social media and figure out why application security might be a right fit for you. So now that we have that, and like I said, my phone keeps ringing, so I apologize for all of this. But now that we got that out the way, I want to bring in my guest. She is known as Person Centered Cyber, or at least her YouTube channel is Person Centered Cyber. She's a cybersecurity professional. She's an author. I guess you call her a trainer and a mentor. And she's just a great lady all around. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in the group, in the pack, please welcome my guest, Cheryl Abram. Cheryl, how you doing?
Hello, hi everybody. How y'all doing? Hi, Devin.
How you doing? I'm good. So again, thank you for joining. Like I said, it's been a bit hectic. I thought my phone was turned off. It keeps going off, but whatever. We'll get through it. So, like I said, thank you for joining.
Yep.
I kind of gave a brief rundown of who you are, but if you want, you can talk about who you are and how you got started.
I'd love to. So first of all, thanks everybody for being in the chat. Black Cyber, Professor Black Ops. Hi Lily. Hi Cyber Insight. So I am a social worker who is now working in cybersecurity. Okay. And that's not all. I'm also an Army veteran. I am like Davin mentioned, I'm an author. I love learning and development. I was an HR specialist writing policy for executive agencies for 16 years at the Office of Personnel Management before I became a cybersecurity professional. Okay. And about, I don't know, it's maybe close to 2 years now that I've changed careers. And I'm just so happy to be here. Like it was hard to get here, but I'm very, very excited that I'm here now and with this group of professionals doing this kind of important work.
No, absolutely, and we're happy to have you here. Like I said, I think the first time we met, I think you sent me something, and we linked up and we talked about something that you were working on. I don't know if we can get too much in detail about it, but I just loved your approach and how you took the concept of what I was talking about based on like my knowledge of APIs and API testing, and how you took that into a way of teaching how to learn. I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
So I know you said you originally came from HR, and then you moved into cybersecurity. So I guess that kind of covers how you got started. But what made you, I guess, decide to take that leap and take that transition, and how, how difficult was that?
The thing that led me to make that leap was dissatisfaction. Okay, in one word. Um, I I had an amazing job. I mean, my job was the job that anybody would want. Okay, I was making six figures in the federal government. You know, you got the benefits, the good government job, and all that stuff. My boss was, I had the best boss in the world. I don't care what nobody says. She was amazing. Okay. My team was great. Everything was wonderful. And I was so sad. Okay. I didn't want to go to work in the morning. I was just so dissatisfied. And I felt like I wasn't growing. Like, everything is great. And for me to quit this job would be the dumbest thing anybody has ever done, because why? you know, and I felt bad for wanting more. I really did. I felt very bad. But that's when I wrote my little book called Longing to Learn, because the issue was I was too small for where I was. That's it. I was too small, and I was trying to cram myself into this little space because, that's what I was supposed to be doing. I'm a single mom with two little boys. I have two grown kids that are out of the house, but I have responsibilities and bills and, this, that, and the other thing. So,
Talk
it would
about it.
be ridiculous of me to just quit. Like, for what, when everything is so great? So it was the desire to grow, really, to the desire to use my skills in a different way, and to broaden my skills, because I know that I can do much more than I was doing, even though I was doing it very, very well. you know I just wanted more. And that's the thing that had me turning in my resignation, like, really for no reason that anybody could see. You know what I mean? But I had to do it, and the day I did it, I mean, I felt like a weight had just been, just that I didn't even know I was carrying. Okay, but it felt like a weight had just been lifted off, and I'm so happy that I, decided to do this, and because I am a social worker, I'm always in nonprofit organizations. Like, I've never left the nonprofit world. I'm always volunteering for something. And at that time, for about a year, I had been volunteering at a local nonprofit to create a cybersecurity curriculum for them. And I was working with a subject matter expert who's right over here, Dr. Wesley Phillips. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. He's my partner. So we were
Don't
working
go
on this
too far.
curriculum.
Don't go too far. I might have to book you soon too.
Yeah, don't go far.
What's up, Davin? I'm a big fan, man.
He is.
I, I
He's a very
appreciate you. Like I
big
said, me too. Likewise, like I said, I'm gonna have to get you booked too.
fan. So we were working together, and his, he's been in cyber and, doing it for the Secret Service and all those wonderful things that he does. And, his excitement about it just excited me. And I was like, let me, maybe I can come into this field, and he really did a lot to encourage me and to let me know, actually, Cheryl, you do have a lot of the skills, so you could absolutely 100% do it. And I did. And here I am. Here I am.
So we're gonna talk about that because you are hitting on many points right now, and based on our conversation we just had offline, like you're speaking to my spirit right now. But before we do that, once again, I have to thank the people who make this possible, who keep it going for me. Thank you to my chat. Salute to you guys, my wolf pack. Thank you for another week of support. Everything that you guys do, on the show, off the show, online, offline, behind the scenes, like, you guys really keep it going for me. So, like I said, once again, I appreciate you guys. And like always, you can ask me or Cheryl anything you want, but you know the rules. Keep it respectful. I'm not like other podcasts. I will respond accordingly. So like I said, so Cheryl, so you talked about a couple things that hit home. One, the first thing you said was, stability, right? Stability, we all strive for stability, but at the same time, stability can be the biggest like detractor. Like wanting to go out and do more holds us back so much, right? Whether you want to start a business or start, creating content or doing something on the side, or whatever it is, to venture out on your own and venture into the unknown.
Yeah.
Uh, and it is, it's terrifying. I was sharing with you earlier, yeah, there were certain things that you do. Sometimes it's almost like staying in like a relationship or a situation that isn't
Yeah.
healthy and just downright toxic at times, but you do it for the stability. You do it because you got kids, you put a roof
Yep.
over the head, food on
Yep.
the table, and stepping out is scary as hell.
Yes.
And but like you said, once you take that leap, and I guess you can call it blind faith, it's like a weight lifted off of your shoulders. Like when I gave, I guess I'm gonna reveal some stuff, but like I
Mm-hmm.
recently gave my notice at my current place of employment, and although it scared the hell out of me,
Yeah.
it was like, okay,
Yeah.
it I don't know what's going to happen next, but
Right.
I know whatever it is, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. You sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you have to, whether, like I said, changing careers or something. So kudos to you for seeing that, for speaking to that, because like I said, that's one thing that a lot of people who are probably here tonight, or just in general, that I talk to on a regular basis, that have switched careers or wanting to switch careers, are like, I want to. It's almost like that double dutch. Like you want to jump in, but you don't.
Yes.
You're kind of just doing this, and you're waiting for the right time.
Yep.
There is no perfect time. There is no striking while the iron is hot. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically go for it. Guess what? Go for it. And if you fall, make sure you land on your back, because that means you can look up and you can get back up.
There you
So
go.
that's my little tidbit right there. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to touch on that a little bit more, go ahead.
So, I mean, the fear that you talk about is so real, like it's not even funny because I mean, the forget fear, it was terrifying. Okay, because like it's not like I found a cybersecurity position. I knew when I was going to start. I knew what my salary was going to be. I knew all that, and then I turned in my resignation. No, 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 no. This was like a real 100% decision. Okay, where I see a difference between a choice and a decision, right? A choice, it's like a puzzle. You got all the pieces right there. You know what, so you just choose what goes next because the answers are there. And plus you got the picture on the box, right?
Yeah.
But a decision has a big chunk of I don't know. Okay, when you make a decision like a life decision, like getting married, buying a home or whatever, there's a big chunk of uncertainty. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had that in spades. So the fear was there, absolutely 100%. But like you said, I mean, I began to be about inventing my present. Forget about the future. I'm talking about right now. Inventing my present moment. Okay. So when I did that, there were other things that I did. Like I immediately got mentors. Okay. I mean, people that I've been talking to for years and stuff. And they told me like simple things that I wouldn't have done because it wasn't my personality. Like one of my mentors was like, Cheryl, you have to tell people that you're looking for a position in cybersecurity. I'm like, but that's none of their business. Like, why do I gotta go online? Tell all these people I'm looking for a job, and it's embarrassing. I mean, but he was like, no, that's just something you have to do, which is crazy that someone would have to tell me that,
Yeah.
But I had to have like simple conversations like that, and I had to listen, because that's what I really wanted to do. So I found myself tapping into competencies and skills and knowledge that I hadn't used before, when I did, which is great, that was scary too, right? So the whole thing was, it wasn't easy, but I knew that I had the collaborators around me, who are more than happy. I mean, more than happy to really, help me to invent the outcome that I was looking for.
Right. Like I said, that's so important. To kind of have that support system. Um, Sometimes you think you can venture it out on your own, or you have run into some people who are like, oh, just Google it. Google's your friend. But sometimes reading it on a website or reading it in a book is different than hearing it from somebody
Yeah.
whose words you value and trust.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Like I
Yeah.
can I can find most of the answers for some of the things that I'm going through online on an online forum somewhere.
Hmm.
But talking to someone like talking to you, or talking to Ty Wilson, or talking to JB John Breth, or InfoSec Sherpa, talking to different people, and people whose opinions I highly value,
Yeah.
Marcus J. Carey. It's like, oh, it's almost like a confirmation. It's,
Yeah.
it's you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you knew it all along, but it's like when you hear it from someone else who you trust, and
Yes.
it won't steer you in the wrong direction. It's like,
Right.
ah, okay, all
Hmm.
right, I'm doing right. I'm doing the right
Yeah.
thing. So you left your stable job.
Hmm.
You ventured out into cybersecurity. You've gotten mentors, and you've done your research, and you stepped out into the unknown. What challenges have you faced in the past, or currently facing, in your journey so far?
I I don't know if I would call them challenges because I've been having nothing but fun since I've been here. Ask Professor Black Ops. Haven't I, Professor?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Nothing but
Shout out to
fun.
Cheryl. That's awesome.
Because this like what is this? What this domain, or like what, like this group of people, we're just I feel like we're all explorers. I don't know, this feels very new to me. And I feel like even for those who've been here a while, it's still kind of new, and there are still things like that part of the Truman Show with Jim Carrey, where he's flashing back to when he was a kid, right? And he's in class, and his teacher is he's looking at the globe, and he's like, "Oh, I want to be an explorer when I grow up." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, everything's already been discovered. There's nothing left to explore." You
Right.
know, I kind of felt like in my old position, like that was kind of like the attitude. Like everything's been researched about this. Everything's, the books have been written. I mean, what else do you want to do? All you can do is follow what somebody else is telling you to do. I don't feel like that's the way it is here. I feel like there is so much more to explore. And that's what I do. Okay. I ask questions. I challenge the status quo. I mean, I do all of that stuff, so this is like the perfect place, for me to do that. So any questions that I've had, any ideas that I've come up with, I present those, on my channel, in my writings, and all that. And everyone is receptive. Some agree, some don't agree, which is wonderful, which is fine. But the fact that I'm able to do that, and to do that comfortably, is everything. Yeah, for me.
Yeah. And you picked the right field, to always discover new things, because
Hmm.
as you see, it's always changing. There's always
Yes.
something. And it's a good and bad thing, because sometimes it's like it's always changing great, and then sometimes it's a drop what you're doing. I don't care. That was last week's news. Now we have
Right.
to focus on this. Um, but like I said, that's great that you're enjoying yourself. And too many times, I think, in careers, and I think it was almost just a mindset, even from the past. No matter where your background was, it was never about, do you really enjoy what you do. It was just like, find a good job, and
Hmm.
support your family, and pay your bills, and retire, and then die a few years later. um and very rarely did you actually hear people say, you know what, I'm venturing off, I'm doing this, and I actually love it.
Yeah.
And you can lose sight of that, right? You can lose sight of enjoying the ride, enjoying the journey. Like, one of the things that I loved when I got into it, and I say it to my mentees all the time, and then I'm like, damn, you know what, I need to take a page out of my own book. It's not about, I mean, it is about what you learn and how you progress, but it's also about the journey. You have to appreciate the journey while you're going through it. Um,
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you lose sight of your why, which we'll get into later, but you lose sight of what really drew you to this field. And
Mhm.
like, it's no secret, like I said, when I was going through my stuff last year and I thought about stepping away from it, like I said, you think back and it's like, no, I love this. I just
Yeah.
don't love where I'm at with it. I don't love
Yeah.
where, and so you gotta reassess, reevaluate, reapply, and reinvent.
Yeah.
So like I said, I hope that you continue to enjoy it. It will. Like I said, it's very enjoyable, and you surrounded yourself around a great group of people. Like, I've seen your videos, which we're going to get into next. But I've seen some of the stuff that you've done with Professor Black Ops. Shout out to Professor Black Ops. I have not forgotten about you, sir. It's just been one hell of a month, but I promise you, I got you. But some of the things I've seen you do, you had like the Ypifany channel, and then you
Yes.
did person centered cyber, and that fun shows in there. And what I love about that is the fact that you're doing it in real time. Like, you're learning, you're researching, you're talking to other people, you're figuring stuff out. But you can see, even though it might sometimes it gets a little tedious or might get a little frustrated, you can see the enjoyment on not only just you, but the people who you have on the show with you.
Yeah.
So talk about that. So talk about the stuff that you're doing with person centered cyber and Epiphany and everything, and just how that came to be.
Yeah. So I had my learning and development channel first. That's my Ypifany channel, and it's spelled Ypifany, but it means the same thing as the word Epiphany.
Hmm.
Because I feel like my slogan is everybody deserves an epiphany. We all want to be like, and an epiphany is like insight. Okay, it's something that you see, you just don't know that you see it. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
something that's so obvious. And that's the hardest thing in the world to see is the obvious, is what's obvious. Okay. Because it's right there in front of your face. Do you know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of studies and research and stuff that shows how that's possible, how you can't see what's obvious. Okay. So Epiphany is about that, but from a learning and development perspective, to help us to get to that insight. Okay, to be, first of all, to be open to have that insight.
Talk
Because
about
if
it.
you cannot learn anything that you already know, you just can't. That's impossible. You can't do it. You know what I mean? So that means you have to back up a little bit and start asking questions, and that too can be scary. To ask questions of what you are 100% sure of. That can be a scary thing, because it's almost like you have your flag in the sand. Okay, this is what I know, and I know for sure, and I don't care what nobody tells me. This is it. But to wiggle that flag a little bit and kind of, that's a scary thing. Or I know it's
Yeah.
very scary. But and so from Epiphany, at first I called it cyber training with Epiphany. That's what it was first, and then I changed it to person centered cyber, because at the end of the day, the first computer and is a person. Okay, and we see that in that movie. What is the movie there? What's the name of the movie? No, with the ladies at NASA.
Oh, Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. All those ladies, they were computers. Okay, that's was their job. Their job was to be they were computers. Okay, so at the end of the day, this technology is still about us. It's about making what I already did. everything this thing does, I already did it. It just makes it easier. It just does it faster. It does it on a greater scale, and and all that stuff. It's an extension, okay, of us. So, which is why I wanted to talk to Professor Black Ops about that zero trust architecture, because I'm not getting that. Somebody need to help me out with that stuff there. But I'm not going to get on that right now. But that's going to be on my channel too. We're going to have a discussion about that, because it's person centered. Okay,
Right.
that's what this all is. So everything on my channel is about the person. It's about one thing that I talk about a lot is human rights and cybersecurity. Okay, because at the end of the day, when you really look at all of this stuff that's happening with technology, in different parts of the world and stuff, especially when you see what's going on in, what we call underdeveloped countries, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You see the role of technology and where it is and where it is not, and how it's used, in those areas. And what I don't want to happen, and I use this as an example, Dr. Phillips and I came up with this example for the kids in the nonprofit, where we compared what was going on with technology with Christopher Columbus discovering America, okay, and coming in with the know-how and the technology that these individuals, they had no know-how, with how this stuff worked and how advanced it was, and because they didn't have cybersecurity professional type people there who also had the know-how of Columbus and his crew, okay, to be able to ensure that these people's rights were not infringed upon, and just completely taken away because they did not have the know-how,
Right.
and they didn't have the technology. So I don't want that to happen in the digital world. I don't want that cannot happen in cyberspace, okay? So I feel like we have a very important job. We have like really, really amazing things to do here, in this digital world, because we too, know what you're working with, Columbus, okay, and your crew, okay, and you didn't discover anything. The folks was already here. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So, the human rights aspect of it is, I am super passionate about that. That was my first talk at the what is it, Blacks in Cybersecurity, that how they allow you to do those sessions and stuff, was my first one there, and I want to talk about it more. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning I'm giving a talk at a school in Nigeria, and we're talking about what cybersecurity really means. Security, if you think about when you're secure, when you feel secure, you feel like you can do stuff. Like if you feel secure in your neighborhood, you go out and you walk your dog, you play with your kids, you go in your garden when you feel secure, right? Because security is about the state and feeling of being free.
Yeah.
I'm free to go out and do what I want to do. When you don't feel secure, if you think about then you're locking doors, you're looking out the windows, the kids can't go outside to play, and all that, right? You can't do the work that you need to do when you don't feel secure. Everybody has the right to be free,
Talk
the
about
right to be secure. Okay.
it. Mhm.
That has to happen not just in the physical world, but in the digital one as well. So I really feel like I have entered a domain, a profession that is, above and beyond, what I first thought it was.
No, that's amazing, and it's crazy because you're absolutely right. When you're secure, when you feel that you're secure, you have security blanket. It's a level of comfort. It's a
Mhm.
level of feeling at ease, right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what that feels like, or won't know what that feels like for a very long time, if ever, unfortunately.
Yeah.
um, so that's definitely a hard topic to grasp, and using cybersecurity as the conduit to kind of teach that is deep. It's deep, but I said one of the things that you have to do to kind of be able, not only to be able to teach that, but to relay it in a way that is understandable, like using the Christopher Columbus analogy and stuff, is just having an overall passion for,
Yeah.
passion for learning, passion for teaching, passion for helping others. So where does your passion for learning come from?
Davin, it comes from my discovery that I can change my mind.
Mm.
Okay. I grew up in Southern Louisiana, very, very traditional family down there, in the South.
Hmm.
Okay, there are just things that you do and things that you don't do. There's things you believe, things you don't believe. There's people you hang out with, people you don't. There's things that you revere, other things you don't pay attention to. I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay, okay. Um, in my 30s, I came to a point to where, I discovered that, you know what, Cheryl, you it doesn't matter what it is. You can change your mind about this. Like, you don't have to, believe this about what it means to be a wife, okay, or what it means to be a sister, or or a daughter, even, right? I mean, there are these rules and traditions and all this stuff that it's okay. Like, the earth isn't going to split apart. I mean, the ground isn't going to open up and swallow you. You can say, you know what? I don't think I want to do it that way, or
Yeah.
I don't think I want to go in that direction. Because a lot of the decisions I made, okay, as I was growing up, were based on what was culturally and traditionally right. Okay. And the one thing I couldn't be was wrong. I
Yeah.
wanted to be right. Okay. That was the thing. Okay. But what I didn't know is changing my mind was not going to make me wrong. It was just going to make me, think differently. It's all it is, right?
Mhm.
Have a different way of seeing the world, a different worldview, which is okay. I had to be okay with not being right in someone else's judgment.
Yes.
Which is what it boils down to.
We
Okay.
we gonna take them. We
So
gonna take them to church tonight. All right.
so that's a lesson. I mean, it took me 30, almost 40 years to learn that, but I'm glad I did, because I know some
Mhm.
people, go to the grave without ever, learning
Talk
that.
about it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
And
I'm
it-
just I got right under the wire. I got like 20 minutes left, but I,
hey, change. It doesn't matter when you change, as long as the change is for the good, right? And it's for the
yeah.
better. But think about it. It goes back to a couple things. It goes back to the first thing we talked about stability.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
People are stable in their own bubbles. People are stable in their own comfort zones.
Yes. Yes.
Moving up
Yeah.
to the last topic we just talked about, with life, the grand picture and cybersecurity. What is the enemy of security? Um, Convenience,
There you go.
right?
Yes.
The enemy of security is convenience.
Yes.
The less convenient you make something, the more secure it becomes. But now you have a problem, because now you're taking away their convenience.
Yeah.
And to that point of learning that you can be right, and then you can be wrong, and you can learn something new. That is a problem that we're facing today and this isn't the show for this, but it's my show, so it can be.
Right.
it it speaks to so many things that we're dealing with right now, that people are stuck listening to what makes them comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
People have a specific channel, or a specific podcast, or a specific show, or a specific algorithm on social media, or whatever, that is their comfort level,
Yes.
and they don't want to hear anything different. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
to hear anything about change. They don't want to hear anything about diversity. They don't want to hear anything. And it's not just it's not just people on one side. It's both sides.
Mm-hmm.
There are people on both sides who refuse to understand the thought process of the other and try to come to some type of understanding.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week when I was speaking with Kalila, and I said it sort of like what you said. One of the epiphanies, and we're gonna use that word again, that I had recently is that some people legitimately, and I'm just for any topic, really just don't know any better.
Yeah.
But you'll never learn that if you don't get out of your comfort zone and try. Right now, I'm not saying that you have to accept anything that's going to be disrespectful or anything that's going to make you compromise your integrity. Those are two no's.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't care what you do in life. I will rather be dirt poor than to compromise who I am or compromise my integrity or sell my soul. That's just how I was brought up, right?
Yeah.
That's my code. So, but you do have to step out of your comfort zone. I think of Blenster. I was having a conversation with Blenster. Shout out to Blenster. He was my beard buddy until I shaved.
Okay.
But he said he made it a point to surround himself with people for an unspecified amount of time, but he surrounded himself around he surrounded himself around people who did not look like him.
Mm-hmm.
So he made a point to hang around people of color, women, basically anybody who was not a cisgendered white male.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he learned so much from it because it took him out of his comfort zone. We have to make people learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
We have, because until we do, we're never going to succeed with anything. Whether it's politics, whether it's life, whether it's diversity, whether it's career stuff, whether it's venturing out on your own and saying, I'm not happy, I'm going to go off and restart my career, or I'm going to learn a new skill set. No one is ever going to grow and evolve being comfortable.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You have some people who are comfortable in their, for lack of a better word, privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, they just, they're okay with that. But I think back to if I didn't decide to say, you know what, I'm going to buckle down and get into cybersecurity. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to save my money and get the books and get the trainings and get the certifications. Who knows where I would be? Who knows if I'd even be alive? I damn sure for one, no, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, speaking with you and having this platform that I have.
Yeah.
So we have to find a way to get people out of that mindset and out of that bubble and out of that comfort zone. I don't know how we're going to do that, but it's definitely something that I'm passionate about, because if not that if I can do it, anyone can do it, but if I could figure it out, I'm sure someone else in a similar situation can figure it out. If you could figure it out, I'm sure someone in a similar situation could figure it out, and not only change their career or change their living situation, they can ultimately change their life and their outlook on life.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So I guess, which goes to the next one. So we talked about the passion for learning, but I think the other thing is with you putting yourself out there with person-centered cyber and everything, and the fact that you're even here, just again having this uncomfortable conversation about coming out of a comfortable situation. There has to be also a passion to help others, right? There has to be. I mean, no one. no one does this and says, I don't want to help anybody, right? No, like no one's going to put themselves out there just for the sake of putting themselves out there. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually it's if I, hopefully my story can resonate with somebody, or hopefully I can mentor somebody. So again, we talked about the passion for learning. Where do you find your passion for helping others, especially with just keeping in mind the conversation we just had about some people who don't want to be helped because it's uncomfortable for them?
So on my Ypifany channel, and I think I've mentioned it on person-centered cyber. I'm sure I have. I've redefined a lot of things, okay, since I've, learned that I can, okay, I don't have to agree with what Webster says. I don't. All right.
Mhm.
So there are three words that I've taken and I define them the exact same way. That's learning, teaching, and empathy. I
Mm.
see those as the same thing. And what they are the sharing of perspective and experience.
Mm.
Learning, teaching, and empathy are the sharing of perspective and experience. And the thing about sharing, you don't lose anything when you're sharing perspective and experience. When you have empathy, you don't lose anything. When you're learning, you don't lose anything. When you're teaching, you don't lose anything.
Talk
Okay.
about it.
You're
Hmm.
sharing. Okay. you're getting clearer. You're getting more clarity. You're
Hmm.
broadening a perspective. I only have two eyes. These are the only ones I can see out. If I want to see more broadly, I got to share. Okay. I have
Yes.
to ask, Dr. Phillips, hey, tell me about, how do you feel about this? How do you see this thing? How do you experience this kind of, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm teaching, I'm also at the same time learning. Okay. And vice versa. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when you love somebody, if you have another child or you meet a friend, or you don't, when you love somebody else, in addition to these people, you don't lose anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
Hold on. As long as it's genuine.
as long as it's genuine. There you
As
go.
long as it's genuine.
It can only be. I mean
Yes.
that it can only be that way, right?
Yes.
In order for you to really be able to broaden your perspective and see more clearly.
Hmm.
Okay, the more empathy, the more learning, the more you're able to share. You see more clearly. You know,
Yeah.
so that's just what I do. Now, whether people and what I share and how I share is not dependent on whether somebody is wants to share with me or what. That doesn't, I mean, that just it is what it is. Okay.
Mhm.
I want to share. And that's what I do. And that's what I
Right.
do.
And I mean, again, since we're focusing it on technology, I mean, think about it from a social media aspect or a technology aspect. You may have a friend on Facebook or Twitter or whatever that is friends with someone else that has something that might be insightful to you. What do? They share the link, right?
Yes.
They share it, they retweet it. Is giving you perspective to a window that you may not have
Yes.
seen before. And yeah, as long, like I said, it has to be genuine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's disingenuous and it's not coming from the right place, that's when you have the people who are like, I've done all of this and I've gotten nothing in return, or I've done this and no one seems to respect what it. That's not what it's about,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
Sharing is a selfless act,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being a good Samaritan is a selfless act.
Mm-hmm.
I started this show with just me and Tyrone Wilson literally shooting the shit to a crowd of no one. I didn't even have my wife and kids watching the first show
Okay.
because it wasn't even supposed to be a show, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they're like, "Well, how many people do you get watching on average?" And I'm like, honestly, well, when I do it live, I may I'm if I touched 30 to 40 people, it was a great show. And
Mm-hmm.
like, well, why? So why do you continue to do it that way? And I'm like, because it's not, even though I host this show, this isn't for me per se.
Mm-hmm.
This is for the people in the chat to connect with me, connect with you, connect with people who, again, you've seen it coming, being new into cybersecurity. You see a group of people who you feel are, they don't consider themselves to be, but they're considered rock stars or gurus or whatever. And it's almost like they're out of reach. Even though you might follow them on social media or you see a post and like a post, they're unreachable.
Yeah.
And what I did with this is bringing these two groups of people together, and me being the conduit of, no, look, Cheryl's human. She
Yes.
just came on here and said she was terrified.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
but I don't, like I said, I don't do it to go necessarily go viral. Yes, do I want it to get out to more people? Yes, because I think what we're doing here is important, not just me, but what you're doing and what
Yeah.
all my previous guests are doing. And like I said, we all do it. It's a labor of love, right?
Yes.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, none of us are getting paid to edit 5-6 hours on a Saturday.
Oh no.
None of us are getting paid to edit our own videos. I mean, some people go to Fiverr and stuff like that, but even then, that costs money. You're not getting paid for that,
right? Exactly.
And even if we are getting monetized on YouTube, trust me, the ad revenue is not worth it. None of us are putting out content unless you're Lab Every Day and Keep It Techie. Shout out to y'all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Y'all are goals. I love y'all. So like that's where I need to be.
I agree. Me too.
But and Professor Black Ops too. Like seriously, like I be seeing them. I'm like, okay, I need to. I be watching and I'm like, I'm taking notes. Like, okay. So, but on top of everything that you've done, in your career, in your career transition, what you're doing with Person Center Cyber, working with Dr. Phillips, doing the stuff with the nonprofit. You've written, what is it, 3-4 books?
Three books, yeah.
So, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, what is that like? Because I keep jumping back and forth on whether I'm going to do one, and then I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't have it in me to do it. But what? I mean, how did you do that? And then, how did you find the time to do it?
You know what? It took no time to do it, because the way that I write, I mean, it wasn't like, okay, Cheryl, you're going to sit down for 2 hours and write today until you get it. No. I write the way that I do my videos. Okay. I mean, the spirit has to move me. Something got to move me to sit down and, and do, and I'm just motivated to do it, which is why my books aren't very long. Okay. They're not that long at all, but, is my battery dying? What's going on here?
No, I think you're good. Yeah, you're good.
All right. So that's what I do. Like, when I feel like writing, I just sit down and I write. So it doesn't take me very long. My first book I wrote in like 2 weeks. I did have a deadline though with my publisher, but the second one was pretty much written already. It was just about me putting together a lot of blog posts that I had, and the third one again was when I left my job, and the title is Longing to Learn, which is about how I was feeling, how I felt trapped because I had forgotten how to learn. I was so used to taking instruction. I was so used to following directions. I was so used to hearing from others, from leadership and other people who knew more than I did, about what to do next. I was so used to that, for me, there was no need to learn. learn for what? You know, all I gotta do is follow these directions. You know what I mean? But real learning, like I said, you know, actually sharing perspective and experience with other people, and in different disciplines. You know, I actually had to go outside of the discipline that I'd been in for 16 years, you know, to really see what was going on, you know, to make myself better in that discipline. You know, I went into like biomimicry and law and, you know, medical stuff, all kinds of stuff, you know, technology, you know, I'm in HR, you know, what the heck am I doing, you know, looking up stuff about, you know, the ITIL, you know, which is where I was, you
Right.
know, trying to create a better evaluation plan, you know.
Yeah.
So so just being able to when I'm moved to do something, I do it. And it takes no time. And that doesn't mean I do it fast. It means that time isn't a factor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, I read the longing to learn, and I remember just feeling like it was like I was like, man, she wrote it like it was a conversation, right? Like you wrote it
Mhm.
like it was it because you have some books where it's like you feel like you're being talked at and not talked to.
Yeah.
Like like how you wrote it, it was just like, man, like it came from you could see where it kind of came from a personal perspective. Like you could see where it's like, oh, she is like, it's almost like live what you talk about. And I think that was one of the things that I definitely like, where you how you talked about that. But and I didn't, like I said, I didn't even, and that's what made me look, and it's like, oh, she's actually written a couple other books. But
Hmm.
um I definitely like the, not necessarily the conversational, but just kind of this how you approached it. And I mean, I think it's dope that, again, you said you do it when when the spirit hits you. It's almost like, and
Yeah.
then when you're highly motivated, there's no really sense of time, right?
Yeah.
There's
You get in
no,
that zone. You know,
yeah,
like you get in that zone. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I said, yeah, I like I said, I haven't done it writing, but I also think some of the best content comes from a person, comes from a place of personal perspective. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
think one of my, most of my blog articles, the stuff that I think really hits home to people are the ones where I'm actually, talking as myself and talking about
Yeah.
experiences, and again, putting yourself out there and making yourself uncomfortable and somewhat vulnerable in them situations.
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. Yeah, I love your OSCP blog. That thing, I'm sure he loves it too. Okay. I mean, I have no interest in getting the OSCP. I barely knew what it was when I read that, but I loved reading that whole thing because it felt so real. You know,
right.
because it felt real. I felt like I wasn't reading a story. It wasn't a story. It was, something that actually happened. You know, it was
Yeah.
great. I love it. I mean, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, yeah, and even how that one came about. Like I sat on that for months, because again, I'm talking about failing, right? I'm talking
Mhm.
about failing in a field where people don't talk about their failures.
Yeah.
You go on social media, or you go on these blogs, you go on Medium, and everybody talks about their successes, or how much money they've raised, or how much capital, or what bugs they found. No one, so I'm like, I'm going out there, I'm going to probably bury my career before I even go anywhere in it. But I felt like I needed to get it. I needed to get it out. I needed to get it off
Yeah.
my chest because of so many things that happened. So many,
Hmm.
from how I prepared and basically ran myself into the ground, how I got sick. And honestly, there was a mental block there where I was scared. I was
Hmm.
legitimately terrified
Yeah.
to go back into, because like when I study, it's almost like preparing for a fight. Like I have a family discussion, and I'm like, all right, dad's gonna disappear for a little while. I'm gonna come up and spend some time with you guys, but you know, I got to get this done. And it was different this time around because before, my kids were younger, so they didn't miss dad much, because put on Nick Jr. or whatever,
Yeah.
and
Right.
throw some treats in there, like I have a dad, right?
Right.
but now you have, a son who's in soccer and a daughter who's in tennis, and
Yeah.
they're into different activities and they want you to be a part of it. And it was just like, I can't abandon my children, even though
Mhm.
I'm doing it to better our lives. I felt like I would abandon them. So it was like, I'm still trying to make sure I make the practices. I'm still trying to make sure that I'm
Yeah.
paying attention, and I'm being that soccer dad who stands next to the coach at every single game, to the point
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, team, come here, Nathaniel, go to your dad. um, sitting at every 2-3 hour practice, or watching my daughter and telling her what her form is, but doing that while starting a new job. So now I'm in the lab till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it was just, I felt like I needed to get that out for me. And then
Yeah.
after I got it out and I read it, and it was just like, huh. It was literally, I think I put it out on my birthday.
Oh,
So
did you?
so I may have had a few. It was my birthday. And
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it because I wrote it, and then I wrote it, and then for a few months before, and then I finally put it in the blog, but I never
Um,
published. And then I was sitting there one night, and I was on my birthday, and I'm just like, F it. And I
there
hit
you
publish.
go. Mm-hmm.
And like for the first hour, it felt like it was the longest hour ever. Everything stopped. Like everything stopped. Like everything just seemed to move in slow motion. And then I got, I think the first retweet notification that I got was that Jason E. Street retweeted it. And for
Mm-hmm.
those, like, I love Jason. Like, I can't wait till COVID is over and we can have like our awkward hug moment. But he retweeted it, and then he sent me a personal message. It was just like, thank you, because this no one does this.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was just like the
Yeah.
floodgates open. And don't get me wrong, I did get some of those where it was like, "Oh, you failed it, you suck, you don't know it, whatever." But
Yeah.
to your point, I never would have known how many people felt the same way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, how many people felt the same way and didn't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, to this day, it's been what, 3 years, almost 3 years now, and
Mm-hmm.
I still get people like, you wrote the OSCP article, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, man, thank
Yeah.
you. So again, a selfless act that you're sharing, and you're not necessarily expecting for anything to come in
Yeah.
return, but like I said, to this day, I still get messages of where it's just like, man, look, I'm gonna take a different approach just because I read that article. So
And you see,
yeah.
that's a perfect example of learning, teaching, and empathy. You know, you being writing that, or and you all three of those you can see are right there because there was genuine sharing happening, right?
Mhm.
So the wonderful thing about that, right, is that when you are real, when I am real, that does so much to give other people permission to be real. Because a lot of us, we grow up needing permission to be who we are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's just the way, the world is turning right now. We feel like we need permission to be genuine,
Yeah.
but until I see that you can be genuine and nothing terrible is going to happen to you, then maybe I can do the same thing too.
Yeah.
Maybe I can admit that I'm scared in public.
Yeah.
Maybe I can admit that I failed at this,
Hmm.
and I kept failing and I keep failing at it. You know, maybe I can admit that and still be okay, and still be a kind person, and still be, an able person, still be someone who's capable of doing things. Do you know what I mean? So just by doing that, by putting ourselves out there genuinely, like you say, that, I mean, one of the most beautiful things is when people see, okay, you know what, I can actually be authentic. I can be who I am,
You can
and still be okay.
be human,
Yeah.
right? You can be human. Like, there's like, yeah, it amazes me sometimes when it's almost like it's like self gratification, right? And it's like, oh, everything is awesome, everything is great, everything is perfect. And no, that's not how it works, right? You're gonna have your bad days. And if you spend too much of your time lying that you're dealing with something, or lying that you're struggling, and basically you're struggling alone, you
Mm-hmm.
know do I think you should put all of your business out there for everybody to judge or comment on?
Right.
Absolutely not. But I also think you should not have to lie either,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's just it's a you have to find that fine line. But like I said, I never will compromise my integrity or whatever for nothing or nobody. And if
Mm-hmm.
that means that, yeah, I'm gonna put out something that I feel is necessary, or I'm whatever, yeah, I failed, I'm terrified, I'm doing something new, I have a podcast or I have a show and it's not getting the views, so what? So what?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because again, there's always some person, like every almost every other week I have this thing where it's like, oh man, I don't know if what am I doing? You start to doubt yourself, imposter syndrome, whatever. And then I'll get a message, or I'll get a post on something like buy me a coffee or something, and someone's just like, man, keep going, please. You got,
Yeah.
don't stop what you're doing. And it's like, all right, that's the confirmation I need. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
that's that you talk about people need permission to be genuine. Well, that's my confirmation that I have to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so Cheryl, so one of the things that I talk about a lot is the lack of diversity, the lack of women in this field. And I came up with another epiphany
Okay.
that maybe I mean, not necessarily that we were approaching it wrong, because I always felt like there was two sides to the story. But I think that people focus too much on one side.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on the businesses, we focus on the companies, we focus on the culture, we focus on the tech bros, we focus on the gatekeepers, and rightfully so, because those are all real things.
Yep.
But what can we do, as from your standpoint, from my standpoint, from people who are watching, what can we do to help bring more people in? Because it goes back to the point we were talking about stability and comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Because of those same reasons that I talked about with the businesses and the culture and all of that, a lot of people don't want to step in that uncomfortable zone of having to step into that new career. But how do we get those people to kind of step out of their comfort zone, learn a new skill, learn something new, retrain in something, and get into something that they could possibly be successful in? What should we do first from the ground level before dealing with them? And honestly, I think we're also getting to a point where maybe we don't necessarily deal directly with them, and instead of begging for a seat at the table, we build our own table.
How
But
about that?
but we can't build we can't have the table and not have people who are qualified to sit there.
Right.
So how do we bring people to the table, whether it's another table or our own?
Yeah. So I think a large part of it is really what you're doing right here, right? How you're interviewing me and other people, with different experiences and perspectives and life experiences too. So that's one part of it. I do that with my Security in the Black, which is my cybersecurity news, where I go rooting around, YouTube and Twitter and other places, finding different perspectives, okay, and bringing it to the table and letting other people know, hey, this person is out there, go subscribe or go look at what they're doing, or and sometimes I tag them in the video, so that they can see, that there's somebody sees them, Okay, because the most important part of equity is being heard. Okay, people want to be heard. They want you to hear what they're saying, so to acknowledge that, hey, I hear you, I see that you're here, I see that you're there, and I'm letting other people know that you're there, because what you're saying is important. What you're saying has instrumental value, it has value. So, and I think that that's really what people want to see. We don't to hear and see the same voices coming from the same perspective is that's not good for anybody, be it business or whatever. Like I was talking about earlier, if we want more clarity, if we want to think more broadly and see more broadly, then that's going to take some empathy. Nothing else is going to do it, because you only got two eyes. You're going to have to be empathic, in order for that to, if you want to grow at all. Okay. And growth, like you were talking about before, it happens outside of your comfort zone. That's where real growth happens, outside of your comfort zone. So we have to get uncomfortable, and start making ourselves, a little more vulnerable.
Right.
And recognizing other people and sharing our space, or making space or getting out of their way, so that their voices can be heard too. Because we all, all of our voices have some value. Okay. So it's about, bringing that all together so that we can then build the table, that people can sit at.
Using your voice to amplify the voices of others.
Yes. And again, not losing anything.
Not, yes. Genuinely, yeah. No, I'm with you. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And I truly think maybe we stop focusing on what we can't control, or not that we can't control it, but I think it's almost easier to do it this way than to, even, like I said, eventually that battle is going to come, or that conversation is going to be had. But I also think, just like any other corporation, uh, they don't start listening until you put them in a position where they're forced to listen.
Yeah.
Right. And again, they're the owners, and they're the landlords, or they're the whoever of their own. They're the masters of their own domain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, and it's gonna sound crazy, but at the end of the day, it's their ball, and they can
Mm-hmm.
they can do with it what they please. They can take it and go home. It's
Yeah.
their party. They can cry if they want to. So okay, so then now do something let's do something of equal value, and then make them go, huh, maybe we're thinking about this the wrong way, and then bring them to to the conversation, if that's what you want to
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you want to do. Or
Yeah.
nah, at this point, no, we're good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think regardless of whether it's to join their table or join another table, the diversity thing has to happen. We have to bridge those gaps. For one, just because that, the lack of diversity is a security issue anyway.
Mm-hmm. It is, absolutely.
And shout out to Camille Stewart, because her article about that was just like eye opening. It was like, huh, and even with Marcus J. Carey about his article about kind of bridging that tech gap. Those two articles stand out, and it's like, yeah, so it's something that we have to deal with, and it's something that we have to do. And I think it's a win-win, because now we're teaching more people who may not be informed about security to better protect themselves at work, at home, on the phone, on these apps with their kids. But you're also teaching a six-figure salary skill if you
Mm-hmm.
if you really invest the time. So it regardless of whose table it is, it has to be done. So all right, so we're getting down to the end of the questions before we get into the Q&A. So, Pack, I know you guys are still there with me, still standing strong. We're going to get to the Q&A in a second. I just have a few more questions for Cheryl, and then we're going to get to you guys. So, from your perspective of being still fairly new in cybersecurity, if someone were to come to you right now and say, what one or two pieces of advice would you give me? I'm looking to make that jump. What would you tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is bring everything with you. Okay. Don't plan on leaving anything. I don't care if you have been laying concrete for the past 20 years. Bring all that experience, all of them things that you learn, all that with you, because you're going to use it here. Okay. You're not starting from scratch. Okay. That's because that seems to be, the mindset, I don't have a IT certification. I don't, so I got to start from, like they never worked on a computer before, like they never troubleshooted stuff. You know what I'm saying? So my first thing is bring everything with you. Okay. So that's it. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second thing is you really can do what it is you're good at. You can find a place here to do something you enjoy, whether that's super technical. Like me, I love writing. Okay. I love writing and speaking. And I mean, I'm in love with policy. I just love it, which is, a lot of people aren't like that, but I do,
Mm-hmm.
And I found a really great place, to be able to do that. And I like analysis. I mean, my sister was the first certification I got, and I, what was it, like 4 hours, I think it took to take that exam. So I failed it the first time, but I was like so excited to go do it again and sit there and like really analyze those questions because I love that stuff. I mean, I just really do. So that was a fun test for me, right? So I found a place for me to write and to do analysis and to ask questions. And I mean, so as a social worker, okay, which is what my degree is in, I have a BSW and an MSW. Also quality systems management, which is like business process reengineering. I have that. I'm a mother. Okay. I bring those skills with me to the job. Okay. I'm a veteran. Okay. That stuff comes with me. I'm a certified hypnotist. Okay. I bring that stuff with me. All of that stuff comes with me on my job. I was divorced twice. Okay. That relationship stuff and them lessons I learned, that comes with me to the job. Okay. I don't leave anything behind. I have found, a place where I can really do what I like to do, and even expand those skills into other things. So don't leave anything behind, and you can absolutely find something, a place to do what you like to do in cybersecurity.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. No, I do. It's, like people talk. I mean, even when I talk to people and they're like, "Hey, I want to get into tech support, but I don't know nothing about computers," and I'm like, "Can you turn it off and turn it back on?"
Right.
Yes. Congratulations, you have qualified for level 1 support.
Right.
For a level 1 support job. I kid, there might be a little bit more to it, but
Yeah.
legitimately, the first thing that usually happens is, okay, can unplug it from the network and can you turn it off and turn it back on?
Right.
That's level 1 right there.
Right.
But yeah, you can. I mean, there's so many things you can take with you from from different jobs. Like I said, like I said before, I was an aircraft mechanic in the military. I did electrical work. I worked in a warehouse. I worked at Verizon. All of that stuff, all of the different things that you deal with. I mean, even from the soft skills,
Yeah, absolutely.
even the soft skills, that's major.
Major.
You can teach a technical stuff all day. It's the soft skills that
Ooh,
really get you paid, because if
man.
you can't speak to the right audience, you're not going to get paid.
Right.
if you can't go into a debrief and break down why a vulnerability is a vulnerability or why this exploit worked to a bunch of executives who know nothing about technology,
Yeah.
they just sit there and make the company run and get paid to do it. If you can't explain it to them or have it or explain it to the people that they listen to,
Yeah.
you're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is if you're a consultant, like I said, they're not going to hire you back because they don't think
Uh-huh.
they don't think there was truly a problem. And if you work
Right.
in house, God forbid you have a breach, they're going to say, "Well, why didn't you tell us?" Well, we did tell you. You didn't listen. Nah, I don't believe you. You're fired.
Right. There you go.
So you have to have those soft skills. So yeah, no, absolutely, bring it all with you. Absolutely, that's
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a major key right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, last two questions. What are your personal, professional goals? What are your goals for the rest of this year?
The rest of this year,
Mm-hmm.
well, I got my CAP certification, which is the Certified Authorization Professional, the risk management framework. So but I don't have, I think ISC squared like 5 years experience or some kind of experience they need with that. So for the rest of this year is to gather that experience so I can actually get my credential. And I'm not just what do they call you before you get the thing?
The associate, you have to get
Associate. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm an associate right now, right?
yeah.
So that's one. I'm really I want to learn how to use these. I want to do some forensics work. I'm super. I have watched so many forensic files. I mean, anything having to do with forensics. I'm like right there because I love that figuring stuff out and just it's like a mystery.
Yeah.
So you have to just bring things together. I love that. I absolutely love that. So I want to do some forensics work. Just got to find where where I can do that, and so those are the two main things I'm looking for the rest of this year.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Honestly, if I didn't do pen testing, well, actually, I did pen testing for a little bit and then I wanted to do forensics, but in the Northeast, you had to work with law enforcement. You had to be law enforcement in order to kind of,
Oh,
because I got certified in it. It's the same thing. The course that I took, you went through the whole course, but then you took an exam, and then after you took the exam, there was like a practical, and the practical exam was almost like they made it like a case. So
ooh.
you were given an image of a hard drive of a suspect
Uh-huh.
who was on trial for stealing credit card data and
Uh-huh.
basically trying to sell it on the internet on like IRC chats and stuff. And you had to do the forensics of the hard drive to figure out where they scraped the
Oh,
data,
wow.
how they used it, and again, it like you said, it puts you in the mindset. So it was almost like you literally put yourself in the eyes and mindset of
Yeah.
the victim to see, okay, yeah, I stole this, I got this data from here, and then I
Oh,
put it.
man, that sounds so exciting.
It was really cool, and actually, and one of my very first mentor in cybersecurity, he was actually a police officer in it was like Shelton or Derby, Connecticut. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but he did but he was like the only guy. Like he basically saw a need and he went out and did it. And now he was like he was the cybersecurity or cyber forensics guy for like all the police stations in the entire state of Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
He did stuff with the Secret Service. He did stuff for the FBI. Like, and it was just him. And I remember,
Wow.
like, my mom made the introduction, and I went to his lab, and like, I mean, the computer, he had two computers that was like, one was literally just all for his cyber forensics, and then he had another one that was like, oh, but this is my mobile setup. And I mean, when I tell you, they were like probably some of the biggest desktop computers I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
then I went and Googled how much those things cost, and it was like $8,000 stock.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, it's a cool experience. But
Uh-huh.
check out DFIR Diva. Check out her blog and stuff. She puts
I
up great
know that
videos.
name. Yeah.
Yes, she puts up great resources for training and stuff like that. So yeah,
Okay.
she's awesome. Like that's my guilty pleasure. Like if I could do anything else in cybersecurity, it would be forensics.
Forensics, yeah.
And then I did it also from the standpoint of, well, if I learned the forensics, it would make me a better hacker because
Uh-huh.
I would know how to avoid certain things that
Yep.
the forensics person was investigating a machine that I was on. How could I avoid that? And
Mm-hmm.
it was a whole. I had this whole thing played out in my brain. Like I said, hopefully, maybe one day I'll go back into it. But
Uh-huh.
finally, and I think we touched on this on numerous occasions, but again, it's the question that I ask everybody: what is your why?
So somebody asked me they said, Cheryl, when will you know that that you're at the point of success? When will you know that you've made it? And I said, I'll know that I've made it when I can wake up when I'm done sleeping. That's how I know.
Damn. Damn. What did Tyrone Wilson ask you that question?
No. It was a guy at a bank.
Because he asked me a similar question, but damn. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
No, but yeah. So and that's not. I mean, it's not about having a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's about. It's about me being, really feeling like I'm living in my potential. Really feel like I'm I'm sharing and just learning as much, and I'm contributing, and I'm creating, content, that other people find valuable, and are willing to invest their trust in. Okay. So that the trust, maybe in a form of money, but it may be in other forms too. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's my why, is because I know that I can. I know that I'm capable. That's why. I know that I can do this and more.
I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the when I can wake up when I'm done sleeping. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still digesting that. Like that shit. That shit hit home. That hit different, especially when you in it. I felt that one.
Yeah. That's
So,
success. That's it.
oh man. So Cheryl, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
sharing your story with us. Thank you for again coming out and being vulnerable and talking about that. I appreciate it. I love what you're doing with Person Centered Cyber. I have to get on there at some point, and just chop it up with you guys
Yeah,
over
let's
there.
chop it up.
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, again, it's been great. Tell the people how to find you. Like I said, I had
Okay,
somebody.
so
Go ahead.
I'm on YouTube, Person Centered Cyber. You can find me on Amazon. Any one of my books, just type in Cheryl Abram and they'll pop up for you. I'm also on LinkedIn, of course. I'm on Instagram like a little bit. So, but don't send me no messages over there because I don't go over there a lot. Okay. Definitely on Twitter. Okay. Ypifany. You type in Ypifany, Ypifany, on Twitter, and you can find me there.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I have most of your stuff in the show notes. On the YouTube channel. I do my research, but like I said again, thank you. Like I said, everything that you're doing, the honesty, just your perspective. It's a perspective that's different but necessary. Like I said, I love it. I'm a big fan. Shout out to you. Shout out to Dr. Phillips back there. I see you, sir. Like I said, the stuff that you guys are doing is amazing. And, anytime you want to come back, you are more than welcome to. Anytime you need me, we could set that up. So,
Okay.
and in this, let's see, I just want to see something real quick. Matthew Park says, what Cheryl just said is important. I've been in the game 25 years and I'm in IT leadership space, and the field needs more generalists in the field. Your experiences matter. I hire people with experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. In some of the positions I've had as a team lead or whatever, I don't look at just your degrees or even some of your certifications. Like, tell me about your life experiences. Tell
Yeah.
me, I talk about this guy all the time. And if he's ever watching, shout out to him. I'm not going to say his name because I didn't ask his for permission, but guy had no certifications. Guy didn't go, he finished high school, and he wasn't that super technical on the keyboard, but his social engineering skills by far, he's probably the best person
Mm.
I've ever seen in a social engineering, whether it's phishing, in
Oh, wow.
phone, email, and in person.
Uh-huh.
I've seen that man. I've seen this man walk into server rooms,
Oh, wow.
not just unannounced.
Mm-hmm.
He's walked in because they let him in and
Mm.
gladly gave him their credentials.
Wow.
So, and I keep saying, if I ever open a full-on cybersecurity consultancy and I develop a red team,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where he is in the world, I have to go get him.
Right.
So if you're listening, you know who you are. I won't say your name unless you send me a message and say it's cool. But I was his, I guess, his mentor, his superior, so to speak. But I learned so much about
Right.
social engineering and the human element of cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
not just from talking to him, because again, talking to him, he wasn't very vocal. He was kind of almost like socially awkward, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But if I said, "Hey, we need to get X, Y, and Z," and go, I don't care how you do it as long as it stays within scope. The man was a genius.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. So anybody in the chat, like I said, I see a lot of comments. I see a lot of conversations going on back and forth. But if you have any questions for me or Cheryl or whoever, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the stuff. So JB Cyber Insight says, "Hey everybody." Willie Beeman, friend of the show, says, "Good evening, Davin. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining." Professor Black Ops says, "Shout out to Alpha and Cheryl in the chat." Yes, Professor. Like I said, Professor Black Ops is definitely a good dude. Like I gotta
He
link.
is. He's amazing.
Like I said, I don't want to announce what my plans are next, but he's definitely in the mix for that.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Cyber Network says, "Hey," and then he also says, "Hello, Davin, and hello, Cheryl."
Hey.
Willie Beeman also came back and said, "Hey, Cheryl, welcome to the live. Thank you for your service."
Thank you, Willie.
So let's see, and then Professor Black Ops says, "Shout out to the doctor." So that's for you, Dr. Phillips. So let's see. Oh, Kalila Scott. She was actually my guest last week. She said she just wanted to drop in and show some love, but she's in a meeting at the moment. So she
Okay.
can't stay. But yeah, like I said, she's another one. I mean, you probably even have her on. She's actually in the process of transitioning in her career right now as well.
Okay.
My lovely wife says, "Good evening, everyone."
Hello.
So let's see where we at. Oh man, Mike Mischief says, "Hey everyone." Let's see. We need to go from the Black Cyber Network. So we need to go from third world to first world separately instead of staying colonized. I think that was in reference to the conversation we were having about being in a comfort zone in our own bubbles. But yeah, one doesn't truly know anything if they don't
Yeah.
venture. You know. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, there he goes. Keep it techie. Josh says, "Hey Cheryl, good to see you."
Hey,
So,
Kibitaki.
I got it. I told you. Yeah, he's goals.
He is. He absolutely. He's on it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Cyberpack says 100% surround yourself with people that you want to be like. They'll influence you. Yeah, and like I said, and you know what? Influence to me, influence doesn't just necessarily mean people that necessarily look like me.
Right.
JB is far from from looking like me, but he's someone that I know I can lean on and have conversations with and get his honest perspective.
Yeah.
Um, Another one is a cyber warrior. Like sometimes we butt heads about different things, but I know it's coming from a place of he wants to know more. So
Sure.
and again, like Blenster said, you got to step out of your comfort zone and understand people of different backgrounds or different orientations or whatever. Because if you're stuck believing what you were talking about, if you're stuck believing what you were raised to know to be true, then what do you really know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
I use this as an example, and it's a joke and it's a lighthearted one. But for example, like I laugh with my mom all the time because I remember she used to tell me video games would rot my brain. But now my son plays esports and he's in like a pipeline where they're doing it from like middle school to high school and they're giving out college scholarships.
Oh
so,
wow.
so it's like, and one of my popular talk is about I use uh, how I use some of the things of learning how to play a new video game and how you can actually translate that to learning like a hacker mindset. And I kind of break
Mm.
down examples of like playing a game in Fortnite and some of the skills, some of the non technical things that you do in Fortnite, like looking around the field and everything like that, how you use that and how you can translate that into working on a pen test.
Yeah.
So let's see. Mighty Mischief, when you were speaking about your insight, she says, love the insight. Uh,
Mm.
Cyber Insight, when you were talking about, the empathy, the sharing, he said that beautiful way to explain it. All right, so let's see. Where are we? Do we have any questions? Okay. Great talk. Let me talk. Let me know. Where are we? Matthew Parks says, great talk, new talk. Let me know if you have a black in IT leadership talk. Cheryl is great. We need more black women in the field. Absolutely. Matthew, on both ends, yes, I will be having an IT leadership talk soon. It's in the works. I'm just trying to grab all the people, together, and I'm trying to find the right time because sometimes Thursday nights just don't work for everybody. So I'm thinking of doing it maybe bringing it to a conference or even throwing my own little talk. So,
Nice.
what are all your thoughts about the MDP MSSP space? Are you talking about like the managed service providers? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay. Well, while I wait for that, then he says, when I do talk to young black people regarding the secret to entering the cybersecurity space, I tell them, I tell them it's simple. Social engineering equals game recognized game. No, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of things that if you can explain it the right way, you can make anything relatable. So
You can.
you
Yep.
know, using your analogy of Christopher Columbus or me using video games.
Hmm.
Hell, I talked to a kid. Someone reached out to me the other day, and they were like, they know, a friend of theirs had, their kids run around with the wrong crowd. They're talking about, doing illegal activities, and I'm like, you can take those talents and put them to use and get paid for it,
Yeah.
and not have to worry about are the police gonna come banging on your door because you have a piece of paper from a company that says I gave you permission to.
Yes.
It's all about perspective. It's all, you don't,
Yeah.
you know yeah, if you think this is what you're good at, I'm not going to, I'm going to try to talk you out of it because it's illegal, but let's change your perspective. Let's change your way of thinking. Like, okay, cool. Have you ever thought about doing physical security testing?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I said that, they're like, I didn't even know that's a thing. And I'm like,
Right.
they're like, what is it? I'm like, imagine you getting paid to find new ways to break into buildings.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest companies in the world. And when I said that, it was just like,
Sure. Right.
you're lying. Like the cat. And I'm like, no. First of all, I'm over 30. So cat, I was like,
Yeah. What does that mean anyway? Does that mean you're lying?
yeah, basically you lying,
Oh,
right?
okay.
It
Okay.
was like cat. And I'm like, and my son's like, Dad, they just called you a liar. And I'm like, all right, but it's like, but it's the truth. And it's like, no, look, and you show them, and then you start to show them certain things, or you show them certain videos, or I even showed them some of the things that I learned. I'm like, dude, I practice picking locks. I do this, I do that. And they're like, and you get paid to do that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, very well. And guess what? Even if the cops do get me, I can say, no, wait. The CEO or the CEO of the company said I can do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, and they let you go? I'm like, yeah. So, it's just finding the way to reach out in a way that they can understand it. And I think, once you do that, again, you might find some of the best workers come from something like that. You just got to find a way to reach them.
Mm-hmm.
So Matthew says yes. Then he said managed security service providers. I feel like they're necessary. Most companies are inherently insecure or unsecure because security is always an afterthought, right? You have companies who legitimately just don't want to have it, just don't want to pay for it in the butt because they don't feel like they'll ever get hit, or they feel they're secure enough, or they look at the price tag for some of these products and they're just like, no, why, when we can keep that and add it to our profits for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get hit and they're like, oh crap. So having these, MSSPs or consultants who will come in and kind of get you right, it's a necessary evil. Like until everybody's secure, there's always going to be a need for it. So I don't knock anybody's hustle. They saw a glaring hole. I mean, and that's usually the first thing they tell you with content creation or starting a business, right? Find a business need, or find a need,
they do. Mm-hmm.
and find a solution.
Yeah.
They found a solution. I believe in, using I think there should be a combination of maybe automated tools and manual testing and stuff like that. Not, just don't trust the output of a scan, but that's, we're getting into the weeds and, whatever. But like I said, it's just, it is what it is. Let's see. Okay, so he says, Professor Black Ops, sweet, awesome. I am a senior director. All right, cool. So like I said, we got like I said, I got something I'm trying to work. I'm trying to get some heavy hitters who can really speak to it because I want to have a conversation about, bridging that gap, about, maybe giving some insight from the senior leadership level on what they look for, or maybe tools of the trade or that you can use, tricks to bypass that resume firewall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to have that conversation, but like I said, I want it to be meaningful, and I wanted to kind of reach out to a number of people. So I know I said before I don't care about the number of viewers, but for this talk, I want to make sure it gets out to enough.
Yeah.
So I might have to start. I might have to actually think about reaching out to some of these conferences that are coming up in the coming months, and have that conversation with them. And then he says, tell him about Kevin Mitnick. I could tell him about Kevin Mitnick, but I don't like talking about Kevin Mitnick. I mean, yeah, shout out to Kevin Mitnick. He He's Kevin Mitnick. So, all right. So, do we have any other questions? Anything for me? Anything for Cheryl? Matthew Parks. Follow me on. I hope you're following me here, subscribing. But if you have Twitter, follow me on Twitter or send me a message on whatever social media platform you use. And so we can link up. I'll definitely let you know when that panel is coming, and I definitely would like to have you there. So, all right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I would like to thank you again, Cheryl, for joining.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yes, it was definitely a pleasure having you on. Like I said, I wanted to kind of get you on earlier, but it was like I wanted to make sure I found the right time and had everything set up, make it worthwhile. So thank you. I thank you for joining. Like I said, I love everything that you're doing. I love the book. So I appreciate you. Anytime, you are more than welcome. Like I said, let me know when you have something. If you want me to join, if we can
Okay.
sync calendars and we'll make that happen. And
Absolutely.
Dr. Phillips, you'll be getting an email soon.
Yes, sir.
You can have another beard buddy over here.
Yeah, I got to grow mine back. So Mighty Mischief says, "Thank you, Cheryl. Following you on YouTube now. Yes, please
Oh,
do.
awesome.
Yes, everybody, please go over to Person Centered Cyber, give her a follow, subscribe to her stuff, look at her content, and actually digest the content. Like listen to it. Like I said, like I love I think the one you did the other day where you were talking about what you were your reaction to Joe Gray, not Joe Gray,
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
McCray. Joe McCray.
Joe
I'm sorry.
Gray. Yeah.
I'm thinking of Joe Gray because he just tweeted something earlier. But yes, Joe McCray. You were talking about the tea and all of that. Like I was like, you know. So hey, Ashley. But yeah, like I said, please go check it out, digest that information. Like, make sure you're listening. You're not hearing it. Make sure you listen. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So please go check that out. Quick show announcement. There will be no InfoSec Unplugged next week. As a matter of fact, there will probably be no InfoSec Unplugged for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm just taking a small break, even though it's a break, but it's not really a break because it's I'm looking on doing different things to revamp and make the show a little bit better. I'm gonna be repurposing some of the content and putting it on social media.
Nice.
And I'm having discussions about bringing it to either Facebook or LinkedIn. LinkedIn has an approval process, so it all depends on them. But I put up a poll the other day, and Facebook and LinkedIn were two of the leading contenders. Anonymous. Yes, the show is not complete without Anonymous praising the cloud. May the true clouds embrace, guide you to greatness, Cheryl. Great stream.
I love it. Thank you, Anonymous.
So yes, like I said, so yes, there will be no show. There will be no InfoSec Unplugged next week. However, you may see me streaming some of the Try Hack Me stuff and some of the more technical stuff. Since I'm already doing it, why not stream it? But InfoSec Unplugged will be back mid-April. I might, next month's my birthday, so I'm gonna enjoy that for starters. But like I said, again, just taking some time to kind of reassess, reevaluate, and some things, and just figure out what we want to do with the show moving forward. So don't worry, it's not gone for good. Contrary to what some people may have wanted, but we're here. We're not going anywhere, like I said. So thank you all for the support. Let me know in the comments of this video or previous videos or on social media who you would want to see next on InfoSec Unplugged. Let me know your favorite moments. Just keep the ball moving. Like I said, ThePack, we're going on pause for a few weeks, but that doesn't mean that it's done forever. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank my guest Cheryl. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Thank my family. And you guys have a good night. Oh, wait, hold on. Keep It Techie says he just shared the stream. Great discussion, and salute to the doc. so, so like I said, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna go get some food. Actually, go check me out on Instagram for the after show where, it's just like a quick 5 to 10 minute little thing where I just talk about my thoughts of the show and everything.
Oh,
And
cool.
like
That's
I said, I will see y'all in a few weeks. So thank you, Cheryl. Thanks, Doc. Thanks to the chat. Y'all
Bye,
take it
everybody.
easy.
Thank you.
And there we go.